All right, welcome to HTV. I'm Martin Folsom. Joining us today is Lieutenant Travis Theriot. There you see him on screen. We have a lot to talk about today, and certainly some incidents that occurred right here in the city of Houma, quite astonishing, even from a news perspective, I'm sure from a police perspective, and I'm sure all of you heard about the young child that was thrown into Bayou Terrebonne. Horrific. So first of all, Lieutenant, we want to welcome you to Bayou Time. How are you, sir?
Oh, great. How you doing, sir?
Doing good. Me and you spoke on Friday, and we'll start off tonight by talking about the young child who was thrown into Bayou Terrebonne. When I got off the phone with you, I was shaking my head. I'm like, in all the years we've been doing news and all the years I've known you, I tried to put myself into the shoes of Houma police when y'all get called out on these types of events. It seems they're getting crazier and crazier. Is that my imagination, or is that just a sign of the times?
No, that's pretty accurate. There's definitely a change going on, that you can see. Our officers are seeing things that, most of us veteran officers never seen whenever we were in their shoes on the road, actually responding to complaints. There's definitely a changing trend, and as far as the child crimes, I'll never understand those.
So take us to that report. We have 3 reports. We're going to talk about a drowning, we're going to talk about a shooting, but take us back to the infant being thrown in. What do you know at this point?
So at this point, what we know is shortly before 5 p.m. on Friday, our officers responded to the Liberty Street Bridge. And when they arrived, the child had already been removed from the water. But what they learned was the mother intentionally threw her 18-month-old child over the bridge and into Bayou Terrebonne. There are certain details that we can't discuss about the case, of course, but why, we may never know. There's no acceptable motive for something like that, but the child was then taken to a local medical facility and is expected to recover from this incident, but at the present time he is still suffering from some effects from it as of Friday, but he is expected to make a full recovery. And her name is Asha Randolph, was immediately taken into custody, and she was charged with attempted first-degree murder, 2 counts of child desertion, and obstruction of justice. The child desertion comes in when she abandoned her other 2 children a distance away, still at the scene, but abandoned them unsupervised, enough of them to walk in and drown as well at ages 6 and 8 years old, and went and threw her child into the water.
And she's 30 years old, correct?
Yes.
And she's had all these children. I'm baffled as to why she just wouldn't put them up for adoption. I think, does that ever go through y'all mind on why they just get to the point where they just want to kill their own children?
Absolutely. I mean, it always runs through our mind with things like this. You'll hear the officers on scene. They were like, they could have called me, I would have took them. But as far as why they do this, it's terrible. Like it's nauseating to think that somebody can do this to their child.
Let me ask you. So, I always sort of think you got to be lucky sometime. Who saw the child? Who saw what was going on? Can you fill us in? Because that's a lucky 18-month-old child.
So the mom entered the waterway and pulled the child back out, okay? But why she pulled him out, I don't know. Did she react because she seen somebody in the area and realized she was going to be caught? I don't know. I mean, that's things that she has to answer,
Right.
What made her go back in the water and get him after, doing what she did. Because, even jumping in and saving him, we're lucky that he's alive. That child is very lucky that he didn't suffer from, worse injuries than what he's got.
Is there anything that I know I'm getting into the prosecution of the case. I know it might be a little touchy at this point, but did she show any remorse to officers on the scene?
No remorse.
That's incredible to me. It sort of blows my mind. And of all your years, and I know I've interviewed you quite a bit, anything ever close to, besides we recently covered the 2-year-old, but I mean, anything close to this of someone being thrown into a canal or the intracoastal, anything of that nature?
So 23 years in law enforcement, this is the first time I've ever seen a parent intentionally throw their child into the water with the intent of trying to kill them.
Unbelievable. Now, what has she been charged with? Attempted first degree?
Attempted first-degree murder, 2 counts child desertion, and obstruction of justice.
Okay, so at this point, everything moves into the district attorney's office and.
Yeah.
and
We still have some interviews left to do and things like that. So the investigation is still ongoing, and we're trying to finish everything up and present the best case we can to the district attorney's office.
If anybody knows any information that might be useful to you all in the investigation, can they give you a call?
Absolutely.
What number would they call?
It would be 985-873-6371.
Okay, because sometimes we've learned over the years that people think their information is not that important. Turns out sometimes it's pretty important.
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll have them do that. So, and just keep us up to date on that one. That's horrific. And I know this is another story here in, we'll just say Terrebonne Parish, although it's in the city, that all regional media, I know WWL's been in touch with you and other people. So once again, it sort of puts home on the spotlight in a negative way, doesn't it?
Correct. You know, we had a lot of positive things happening this weekend.
Yeah.
Around the parish, and it seems like it all was overshadowed by tragedy again.
If only all the news media would come on all the other events.
Right.
That would
Right.
also help. All right, let's switch over because we're hearing a lot about gunshots.
Correct.
Recently. And once again, I can only go by the recollection of how many stories we've covered over the years. But it seems like every week or every other week at least, we're hearing about gunshots. Another incident.
Right. So Saturday night, officers responded to the parking lot. I guess we refer to it as the old At Stanley parking lot, the corner of Morgan and Main, that large concrete parking lot. When they arrived, they had responded to a report of several shots fired, but when they got there, they didn't find anything and they didn't locate anyone. Well, while they were on scene, they learned that a female had showed up at a local medical facility with a gunshot injury to her ankle. And upon arriving there, they learned that she had received that injury as a result of the gunshots that they had responded to at Morgan and Main. What we know so far is there were several shots fired, unknown why the gunshots were fired in her direction. It was her and her boyfriend in the car at the time. And she was subsequently hit, luckily, just in the ankle, and she should recover from that as well. But if we have anyone that has information, we do want them to either call the police department or Crime Stoppers.
That seems to be a hot spot. I mean, it seems like we're always talking about that area. You know, and I'm sure y'all do research on the hot spots in the different areas, but is that one of those areas that it's no surprise when something happens? It seems to be on the radar a lot.
You know, it's hard to say no surprise because it's always a surprise when people start shooting. You know, there's no reason that somebody should be shooting. So we don't really accept it as that being a hot spot because we treat everything equally. Yeah. But yeah, we have responded to reports of shots there, but that's not the only place that we respond to gunshots. There frequently throughout the city limits of Houma. The gun violence is obviously on the rise, and and we say it time and time again, but sometimes we're our own worst enemy as citizens. All I can say is people need to lock their cars and pick up their guns because look, just this past weekend we had some vehicle burglaries and boom, more guns have hit the street as a result.
Right, and you're right. And everybody wants to have their gun; they want to have it on their possession. But once you get robbed, it's in somebody else's possession.
Yeah, look, I'm a proponent of gun ownership.
Right.
Look, I think yes, everybody's right, but we need to be responsible about it.
Yeah, and just put it in a safe place where really nobody can get to it. So that has to be alarming. As a lieutenant with the Houma Police, you're seeing the escalation. We always talk about it. We used to go to the park to settle differences.
Right.
And I hate to say it was with fist. You went out and you had a good old-fashioned neighborhood brawl and it was over.
we don't condone that either,
Right, but nobody died.
but nobody died, but that just doesn't happen anymore.
Right.
You know, it's a different day and age, and you know, like I said, I say it again, we just need to be responsible. You know, if we're going to own a gun, we need to be responsible for it and handle it properly and make sure everyone's trained and, you know, and you do the right things with it, not the wrong thing.
Because when tempers are escalating and you have a gun in your possession.
That's not the time to take it out.
Right.
You don't do that.
Absolutely.
It's either there to protect you or for hunting. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about a third incident. Y'all were busy this weekend, and unfortunately, this resulted in a drowning. So can you bring us up to speed on that one?
Yes, so tragically, I received a phone call yesterday. Our units responded to the twin span, which happened to be only a block away from where we were dealing with the attempted drowning on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when they arrived, they located a male subject. They identified him as Arnold Bonnet, 71 years old. And he was receiving life-saving efforts from citizens. Well, what they learned, the officers learned, Mr. Bonnet he was taking a nap on the edge of the intracoastal on the concrete bulkhead, and according to witnesses, it appears that he just rolled over and fell into the intracoastal. And we actually had the witness actually swam from the western bank of the intracoastal to the eastern bank of the intracoastal and got to him, but he had already gone underwater, and she pulled him out of the waterway and attempted to save his life. But all life-saving measures failed, and he died as a result.
Well, whoever did that, that's pretty heroic, because
Very.
those currents in that intracoastal,
It's very dangerous.
yeah, very dangerous. So, I mean, I don't know who it is, but I commend whoever tried, because
Right.
obviously
Right.
their heart was in the right
Definitely in the
location.
right place.
So, with this said, and of course, we're coming to you on Facebook and YouTube also. With this said, all the pressures of being a police officer, and you get 3 events like this, all in the same 3-day span, you got to go take a deep breath, don't you?
Yeah, you just have to step back, look at everything that's going on, and just, take it step by step and just keep on pressing forward.
Yeah, and all the officers are doing okay. I know y'all offer counseling and things of that nature, don't you?
Oh, yeah, all officers are doing great, and they really did an excellent job this weekend. I mean, we had detectives, crime scene, everybody being called out all weekend, and everybody did a superb job of how everything was handled.
Let's talk about some good news, because y'all do a lot. Y'all doing a lot of education, and I know at the Civic Center, y'all had a big event this weekend to try to educate the public on a lot of things that take place.
Yeah, Sheriff Saunier had put together a safety expo, and we had been meeting leading up to it, and we participated in that this weekend, and along with numerous other agencies. And it was, police department really has to thank them for taking the lead on that, and we enjoyed it, and it was a really good event. We didn't have as many kids there as we would have liked. I think there were some learning curves on what we can do to, even make it better, or what we would want to do with our booth that we had set up for the police department. And but it was really, really a nice event. It was
Don't
great.
you find it always takes 2 or 3 years to get something really going?
Yeah.
So it's a learning thing.
Yeah. So the people that were there this year, hopefully they'll bring people back with them next year.
And people always love music and everything else, so you got to make it extravaganza, really.
And everything was free.
Yeah, there's no
So-
doubt. Well, anything else that, how's recruiting going at the police department?
It's going really good. So far, at the present time, we just hired some more recruits, and they'll be going into the academy before long. And we have some other cadets that just graduated from the academy. They're in the FTO program, and we have another one that's in the academy in Lafourche. So we're doing really good right now. We're really fortunate.
I remember when I used to ride on the beat, I knew every police officer around. Now I'm riding around, I see new ones, I wave, and they look so young. I guess it means I'm getting old.
You almost need flashcards.
Yeah, you're right. Well, congratulations on what y'all do on a daily basis, and I know sometimes it's treacherous events that y'all have to jump through and all that, but y'all do a great job, and we want to thank you for what y'all do.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
All right, once again, Lieutenant Travis Theriot. We'll take a break here from the news desk. A lot more on HTV. Don't go away.